and welcome to Taking Over. I am OLED, and I am joined by All Hail the Queen, Astrid, the Natural Pizarro. Fireworks abound. It's a crazy night on NXT. We got people coming, we got people going, we got all kinds of craziness going on. The fireworks are popping. It's 4th of July. Booker T only has a tank top on. It's craziness tonight. Astrid, how you doing?
uh, Physically and mentally exhausted, but still, NXT was a great episode. So it helped me stay awake and gave me a little bit of energy that I needed. Not the one the Rogue energy gives me, but a different kind of energy, I guess. How
And you
are
know what?
you?
You know what? We'll talk about Rogue Energy later when we talk about Bron Breakker trying to put us to sleep. Don't you worry, we'll get there. And yes, for anyone who wonders, there is an Ed rant coming later in the show. I'll save it. I have a spot where I want to put it. Um, the show kicked off pretty quick. It kicked off with Roxanne Perez attacking Blair Davenport as she made her way down to the ring. But before we get there, we're going to go ahead and get to some comments. We got Sean Cena saying, I believe this loss for the Creeds will call him up. Well, they can't stay in NXT, so they got to go somewhere, and there ain't nowhere below them to go. So, yeah. No. I mean, all seriousness, all joking aside, yeah. I mean, it's obviously they're getting called up because they're not getting released. Like, let's be honest here. We're not releasing the Creeds. Um, and Parrish replies and says after SummerSlam. I was like, yeah, I agree. It's probably going to happen after SummerSlam. KO and Sammy need a new tag team to challenge. It feels like it'd be a nice fit. There's some good matches up there on the main roster that I can see them having. But we'll get to the Creeds. We'll get there. They're almost the main event. We'll get there.
Yeah.
Talk to me about Blair Davenport versus Roxanne Perez, Astrid.
And say I love starting with this match more than anything because I love seeing this new I won't say newish, but I guess like new side to Roxanne, like showing out more aggressiveness and more be more to the point with Blair Davenport here. So I love her starting with just attacking her from behind. And I love how even with the smoke, I'm like, if it was me, I would have nowhere to throw Blair because I wouldn't have been able to see with all the smoke that was still going up from the entrance. But I love having Roxanne come in here and be like, I'm taking that moment. And even like pulling her in the ring and she's like, here, let's start it. It just made me like think of like the cash-ins when you have them go with the referee, go like, come on, let's do it. And you see that, that sense, that eagerness for her to start the match already. And seeing how aggressive and how fast she was going from the get-go, I really love seeing that. And that speed she was showing, and like basically not be able to be put down. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. um but yeah, I love the parts of like having her go after Blair, not giving Blair that moment to breathe. And I feel like just when Blair's getting that moment to breathe, they do have like a back and forth, for a little bit there, and then kind of Blair kind of countering everything that Roxanne's doing. But I like how Roxanne doesn't give up as this is happening. She's still fighting through it. And I love that part more towards the end when she's, towards the corner there by the post and she's about to do the pop rocks, but Blair moves out of the way. And the way that she does, her knee strikes and towards the end, and the way she just hits, when the knee strikes came up, I was like, yep, she's done. And I figured this was, a way to start the rivalry to keep it going because we still need that Roxanne victory coming up. So I figured this is the way for Roxanne to say, I need to, try to get that victory from her. So I figured this is the way to get a rematch sometime later. Maybe the Great American Bash, depending how the card goes. Who knows? But yeah, I love the start of this match and like that aggressiveness and that speed that we got from Roxanne tonight.
Yeah, it was nice to see Roxanne being a little more aggressive. It was nice to see Roxanne not being the goody goody two shoes. She was aggressive. She was angry. She was trying to get in there and be aggressive. It was fantastic. It's a side of Roxanne we don't see enough of. It gave Brad Davenport just enough to sell and show how good she is at selling, how good she is on the back foot, and then to just stick her foot on top of Roxanne's throat and just not stop, just beating Roxanne down. And then just Roxanne gets that kick out when you think it's all over, and Booker's like, she's she's not in a good place. She's not in a good place. And Vic's like, well, maybe. And then those two knees come in, and that's the story. And it's just one,
Yeah.
two, and I love that because it tells you the story. Roxanne's anger got the better of her. While it was a strategically good idea over the long course of time, Roxanne's energy got the better of her.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not a bad thing. It's a good thing sometimes to have that kind of stuff happen. Uh, After this match, we go ahead and get a backstage interview with Mackenzie Mitchell and Ivy Nile about the Creeds. And Tiffany Stratton comes in. Because honestly, Ivy says nothing of importance in this. Like, she really doesn't. She says a whole lot of words that mean nothing. Well, they've been training real hard, and I got to support them.
And I got faith in them.
Yeah, nothing. Nothing of substance. Absolutely zero. So thank God Tiffany comes in to save the day, looking absolutely fantastic as always. And she talks about, why is nobody talking about her? She defended her title. And and Ivy says the one good thing in the entire segment. She's like, the whole world saw you tap out. They didn't see you win. They saw you tap out. And she's like, the whole world didn't see me tap out. The referee didn't see me. And I'm like, good. Okay. The heel knows what happened. The heel understands what happened. And they're running with it.
Yep.
I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't tap out. The ref never saw it. So I obviously never tapped out.
Yeah.
Just absolutely fantastic. And then Ivy walks away and she goes, if the Creeds go, she goes too, right? And Mackenzie's like, no, she's here. And Tiffany's like, oh, that's unfortunate. Yeah. For those who are going to hear these booms, you're going to hear some booms, you're going to hear some bangs. Yeah. People are partying in Florida. There's all kinds of fireworks going off. We're just going to have to deal with it. It's the 4th of July. Once a year, we have to do a little bit of noise in the background for Astrid. Again, it was a fine segment. It didn't do a whole lot. I assume we're getting Tiffany Stratton versus Ivy Nile.
Yeah, they put it for next week already.
Great.
Yeah, you can't wait for that, can you?
We have. I love seeing Tiffany in the ring. We got In the Hot Seat podcast saying hello.
Well, we gotta say congrats to Daphne for being on the women's panel. I was watching it over the weekend. She did great. So, woo-hoo!
Very, very much. And if you want to go ahead and check that out, it is on
the She Elite Showcase.
Yeah. She Elite Showcase on YouTube. Yeah. Von Pelt, my friend Rob, says we need more Ivy Nile as well. Oh, of course, we always need more Ivy Nile. After this, we went ahead into the Tyler Bate Ali match. We're gonna skip the Corbin promo for just a bit because I want to talk about the match and then I want to come back to the promo. Because honestly, if you talk about the promo, we may not have time to talk about the match because I could talk about this promo for 20 minutes and it only took 5. Tyler versus Ali was really fun. It was a good showcase for both guys. We're glad you had fun. We're glad you had a good time. It's very exciting to see you branching out and getting other opportunities. Like always, we like to see Astrid getting opportunities. Everybody needs to get opportunities. We went ahead and saw Tyler Bate versus Mustafa Ali, and this was great. I think Mustafa Ali played this match great. He's not a heel, but he sure as hell isn't a babyface. He's a little bit of both. Tyler Bate, these guys have great chemistry. It's hard not to when you're as good as these guys to not have great chemistry. Was it a 5-star match? No, it was a good TV match though. It went, 2 commercial breaks, about 10, 15 minutes. Because it started and then it went right to commercial break and then they had another commercial break mid-match. It was good. It did exactly what it needed to do. Ali gets the win in the end by pushing Tyler off the top rope as they're both trying to balance there. And Ali's like, well... And Bate gets his nuts crushed and then falls to the ground and Mustafa Ali hits the 450 splash for the 1-2-3. It was a lot of fun. There are spots galore. There's Mustafa Ali trying to do the flip into the rolling senton flip that Grayson Waller would use as his stunner finisher, but he just uses it as a neck breaker. And he gets hit with Bop and Bing, which I thought was really fun and interesting. Just a whole fun match. Now, Ashley's going to go ahead and talk about one of her favorites, Tyler Bate.
No, what I really love about how we started this match is all the stalemates that we had at the beginning. It's just like they're trying to one up each other, but they can't, and they end up staring at each other, and the crowd just stares in silence, and then just claps. I love those little moments between them, and I love the part of Ali at the beginning just mocking Tyler's pose too. That was great while he was doing one of the stalemates. And one of my other favorite parts is when Tyler is just spinning him and then Ali of a sudden just does the DDT. I was like, holy crap, that came out of nowhere. But I did love how the finish was funny to me. Just see him go, you're close to the top rope. Let me just Yeah, that's good enough. And then I'll just take the win from there. Um, no, but I think I thought it was a creative finish either way, and
No.
seeing just Tyler in the corner, just like thinking of like what did I do wrong, and you can see him contemplating his everything that happened, the match in the corner, as we have Oli looking at the camera. He just says, Wesley, I'm gonna challenge you for the title at the American Bash. So just seeing that of like Ali moving on to getting the title match, is just Tyler just contemplating the whole thing that just happened. I think it was great.
Yeah, it was a fun match. It was great. It did exactly what it needed to do. It moved Ali closer and closer to the North American Championship. It keeps Tyler Bate in that orbit, in that picture. He lost, but it doesn't really do anything for negatively to him, because you're losing to Mustafa Ali. You're losing a hard fought, great TV match. Not like it's a burial. Speaking of burials by fire, we have Baron Corbin cutting this incredible voiceover promo. Now he's on screen the whole time, but it's obviously a voiceover. And it's so good. And he talks about it. Last week sucked. He just comes straight out and says it. He doesn't give any excuses. He doesn't BS anything. He's like, I just lost. He's like, I took for granted experience and nostalgia of the lone wolf. He goes, I don't care about how much money I have. At this point now, it's not about money. It's not about what I have in my pockets. It's not about anything other than what I need to do. I'm not going to look back to see my future. I'm going to face it head on. And as he's saying this, he's looking at the Corbin crown. He's looking at the hat. He's looking at the white shirt. He's looking at the jacket, the leather jacket for the lone wolf. And he's standing in front of like a furnace. And one by one, the items go in. And he says, I'm burning the past. Everything before is gone. What lies ahead of me is no more gimmicks, no more bullshit. And the promo just ends. I mean, I'd love to take credit for it. This was just great Baron Corbin work. He just killed it. And it's so amazing to think that this guy's been floundering with gimmicks for so long when all of this was there. And all it took was coming back home to Shawn Michaels, coming back home to NXT, where they get a little bit more freedom to just let loose. And in a month and a half, we've seen Baron Corbin have the promo battle of the year in NXT with Carmelo Hayes in the ring. We've seen him have one of the best TV main events in NXT. I mean, I say one of because they've had some bangers this year on TV. But he had a really good match with Carmelo Hayes. And now he has this voiceover promo where we're getting a complete repackage of Baron Corbin. And we have no idea what it's going to look like. Astrid, your thoughts?
I was trying to literally take notes as he was talking about everything because I just loved it from beginning to end. I needed to rewatch it to take notes because I was just so concentrated at first.
I'm tempted to literally just go on the YouTube channel and pull up the promo and just play it.
Did they upload it already? I know they put it on Twitter.
It's
at
on
least.
Twitter. It's on Twitter.
Yeah. But I also loved some parts of like when he's burning the crown. He says, "I don't need anybody bowing down to me." When he has the jacket, he's like, I don't want a position of authority." And as he has the Brooke Baron Corbin shirt and the Happy Corbin shirt, he's like, "I don't want. It doesn't matter if I have pockets or what's inside." He's like, "I damn for sure don't need a manager. I have worked 8 long years all the way back to the beginning, and it's time to like burn all the ships." And I was like, "Holy crap! I love this man before. Like I didn't need any more help to love him even more." I just want to see what the character will be like on screen because obviously he said it's not the lone wolf either, and like he mentioned, it's like it was that night of nostalgia and that was it. So we're not even getting the lone wolf anymore either. So I'm just wondering how it goes for his look like on screen And not only that, for his theme song, because the theme song that we heard last week was the Lone Wolf one too. So just I'm just curious how everything will be visually on screen. But I loved it when he's like, No nonsense, no BS, no more gimmicks." I was like, let this man free. I cannot imagine what he's gonna do. But I loved it. Mel.
Parrish says he will bring the darkness. Nope. He's not bringing the darkness. He's not the end of days. All that stuff is gone and buried away too. I'm super excited for what comes next for Baron Corbin.
Yeah.
I don't think we see him again until after Great American Bash, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, if they're repackaging him, there's a chance we don't see him the rest of the month. And we take it.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, he's obviously going to keep his move, but I mean, he's no longer. He is not the end of days anymore. As the next line in that song, I bring the darkness. By the way, that's a banger of a song. I was listening to it on my way up to my buddy's house today.
Yeah.
Absolute stone cold banger. Tommy Vex killed that with Jim Johnston. Before we spend more time talking about how great Baron Corbin is and other stuff, we've got Joe Gacy and Ava coming here and having an interview. And this was far more enlightening than Ivy Niles ever was. Because Mackenzie asks, what's going on? Why'd you do this? And none of that matters. That's all just platitudes and bullshit. There's a through line to this whole interview that's really interesting. Where they're talking about, we're going to make sure the right team wins. And at the very end, it's got pointed out on Twitter, that make sure that the wrong team goes away. He specifically wants the wrong team to go away. And there are a multitude of ways to take that. Is it the wrong team for NXT? Is it the wrong team for this family? Or is it just a mistake? How is it going to do it? It's very interesting. In the Hot Seat podcast says, I can see Baron Corbin as an NXT champion with a new change. I would love to see NXT champion Baron Corbin. That being said, if I have to have Carmelo Hayes lose that title, it's going to hurt, man. It's just gonna hurt. Like, it's tough to get in between that. Like, do I want Baron? I want more championships at NXT so we can have more champions, and Carmelo doesn't have to lose. Corbin wins title, Hayes loses the title, but called up. I don't want to stop talking about Carmelo Hayes. Like, can we just keep him till Mania next year and then we can send him up? But I mean, I can see that. Hayes is ready now to be called up. He's being put on Raw. He's having matches with Finn Balor. Finn Balor's coming to NXT come Tuesdays. It's going to be great. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff going on with Carmelo Hayes. But we'll get there. We'll get to Carmelo Hayes. After we have the Ava interview, we have Tatum Paxley versus Kalani Jordan with Dana Brooke.
It was your favorite match of the night, wasn't it?
It was a match that happened on NXT. Okay. Kalani is highly athletic.
Mm-hmm.
Her selling is okay. Yes, but that's a low bar to jump over, Karish. I mean, it's not like it's a high bar to jump over with Kalani Jordan being better than Dana Brooke. I mean, we talked last week how bad Dana Brooke is. The match was okay. Do you have anything to say about this match?
I did notice something that I didn't get to notice. I didn't notice it the first time because I was taking the notes. But there was a part when Kalani's towards the turnbuckle, and she's kind of running towards Tatum, and you can see Tatum just literally putting her hands out, waiting for her. Mm-hmm. And like it takes her a little bit too long to get there, and like Tatum is just like looking back with her hands like this, just expecting her to come in so she can grab her and do the next part. And I'm like, I don't like the timing there. One thing I noticed though during commentary, I don't know if you heard Booker T and everything was ranting about like having a mentor and somebody like Dana Brooke in Kelani's corner, but he kept going off of like having friends and buddies is like a recipe for disaster. Like you have to have like a loner mentality to make it to the top, and like so many parts here, and I'm like, Okay, it felt kind. I know it has to do with like having Dana broken there as the mentor. At the same time, just like why say that with this girl when she just debuted? Like let her be for a moment before you keep throwing stuff at her like that.
Hold on. I have a better problem with this promo package. So,
Mm.
the entire night he harped on this point, but especially in this match he harped on it. You can't have friends, loner mentality. Yeah, loner mentality, says the man who tag teamed with his brother for 8 years in WCW to the highest points of his entire career. The best things that Booker T did were things he did as Harlem Heat. If he didn't have the Harlem Heat years, he wouldn't have the King Booker years.
And even King Booker, he's with Mercil. He's not a loner. He's with his wife.
And then he was with Gold Dust. And then he was in Main Event Mafia. Like,
I was gonna
Baron,
say,
I was going to say, like, Booker T has never been a lone wolf. I don't understand what he's talking about. He's never had a loner mentality. He's always had somebody by his side. What the hell is this bullshit that he's talking about?
I don't know. I just thought it was
Well,
interesting that he mentioned that, especially during this match of all matches. But
Brooke will turn on Jordan. Brooke and Jordan should have been a tag team last night, would have made more sense. I think they're still trying to go ahead and sell the fact that Dana Brooke's legs are hurting her, which is why we didn't get a tag team. I think we're going to get a tag team match with her, Tatum, and Cora versus
I mean,
the
she
two of
was on
them.
Raw though in the tag team turmoil.
Shh. Nobody
But
saw that.
this was
Trust me.
pre-recorded last week though, so it doesn't help.
It was pre-recorded the week before, which didn't help.
Yeah.
And also, nobody watched a tag team turmoil match because, trust me, if anybody had watched a tag team turmoil match, I would have saw a whole lot more Katana Chance botching her way through that match than I saw on my timeline. And then Perez goes, G.I. Bro did very well. I need another beer. But again, even G.I. Bro was part of a group. Like, all of this, Booker T isn't a lone wolf. He's not a guy who does a loner mentality. All the best points of his career, for the most part, have somebody else helping him through.
Well, I'm glad you were here to point that out.
I just think it's hysterical.
Yeah.
By the way, that's not the rant. The rant is still coming.
Oh no.
We get
Well, we
Cora
have Cora.
Jade.
Yeah,
Cora Jade
after
comes out, starts talking bullshit. Kalani Jordan gets on the mic and cuts a promo. A promo? Like, I can't even say a good promo, a bad promo.
The part that made me laugh about this though is that this goes back to what we had talked about like not too long ago about Cora Jade and her gimmick of like the mean girl thing that it's not really coming off on screen very well. And then Kalani's like, I got another match in me. Why don't we go about it now? And then Dana's like, yeah, what do you say, Cora? And then Cora's like, what do you say? What do you say? And then she like literally goes through and is like, you know what? You don't tell me what to do. And there was no reaction whatsoever when she said that. I was like,
Yep.
okay. I didn't like how she delivered the line though. It just felt like so abrupt and just like, that's all you have for a mean girl? Yeah, I don't like it. I'm sorry. I really don't.
And facts to Booker T don't matter. Shucky ducky quack quack.
Oh gosh.
Actually, they are shucky ducky facts. Yes, but Booker ignores facts when it doesn't support his logic. And honestly, I don't think Booker T remembers anything he says 5 minutes after he says it. Because at one point here, he was talking down to Kalani the entire match. And then she won. And he goes, well, look at all the good things I said about Kalani. I'm like, what fucking good things did you say about Kalani? You bitched at her about half the match.
Yeah.
Oh, Booker.
And this is why I didn't want Booker in commentary. I rest my case.
Oh no, I never wanted Booker on commentary for this exact reason. I miss Wade Barrett. I miss Mauro Ranallo. I miss Nigel McGuinness. I miss all of these one. Hell, I fucking miss Beth Phoenix.
I knew you were gonna say that.
By the way, Beth Phoenix got really. But before we get me in too much trouble here, early Beth Phoenix was really bad.
Yeah.
Late Beth Phoenix with Wade and all of them when they finally got their shit together with Vic and Wade and Beth, that was really good. But that Mauro Ranallo Beth Phoenix combination was not good for a long time. There was some iffy stuff in there. Uh, Steiner Math is just such a great promo because Scott Steiner just keeps cutting it like he doesn't understand that anything's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Booker, I think, understands his logic's bad, but he just keeps going because he knows he can't go back on it. Whereas I think Steiner truly believes that he cut that promo and goes, the math's all good. I know what you're talking about. We get a wonderful Chase U segment where Andre Chase is back teaching at Chase U. He goes ahead and he thanks the MVP, Duke Hudson, for going ahead and grading papers and teaching classes and all those things. And Duke just keeps standing up there like he's not going to leave. And Andre goes,
he's like, you can go sit down
now.
I love it.
Tia's all psyched up and she gets her congratulations from Andre Chase for being the uncrowned NXT Women's Champion. And you know what that gets you? That and a handshake gets you 2 poker chips that don't mean nothing, Andre Chase. She's the uncrowned champion. You know what that means? She's not the champion. That's what that means. Tiffany Stratton's still the champion. Why? Because the one person who needs to see the tap out didn't see the tap out. We then get Nick being an idiot, and Nick gets kicked out of his seat. And the guy behind Nick, who, by the way, is the same guy we'll talk about later on in the next segment with NXT Underground, goes ahead and gets yelled at by Andre Chase, and then Duke stops him and says, can I finish this, Andre? And he goes ahead, and he yells at him, and everybody puts up the Chase U, and everybody's happy. And we're back. Chase U's back, all 3 of them. Yeah. And we announced later that we're going to get the tag team match that we expected. I really thought they'd wait on this. I really did.
Right?
Wait on this.
I thought at least for the American Bash, not next
I was gonna say, this seemed like a match that you could put on the Great American Bash. I'm a little disappointed that it's on next week.
I wonder if it won't get a finish and that we'll get the rematch then, because it just feels too quick.
I think we're getting the 6-person tag at Great American Bash is what I think we're going to get.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens next week to see if we get there. Let's go ahead and check on the comments. Dara Amazing says, wow, what a great American... Wait a minute. Right, July 4th, not the perfect day for Great American Bash. I don't know what is. So, I'm glad they didn't do that, because I like the idea of having a pay-per-view, and you don't need to have a July 4th to have a Great American Bash. You can have a Great American Bash whenever. I think it's funny. The Great American Bash never used to take place in July, if I remember correctly, in WCW. I think it was an August pay-per-view, if I remember correctly.
It just feels like a summer kind of theme either way, like kind of in a way, so.
Finn just accepted he did. It was on the program. We'll talk about it in just a little bit. As my buddy Rob says, it is still Tiffy time. It's always Tiffy time. Every Tuesday is Tiffy Tuesday. Tia as uncrowned champion. That's like me being the uncrowned Ole European champion. Exactly. And he goes, it is summer. It is.
Oh, really?
I thought it was the winter parish. Good job. But you know, things happen. We move on. And now we get, honestly, my favorite segment of the entire night. I'll be honest. We get NXT Underground. This thing was great. They dimmed the house lights. You could barely see the crowd. They had performance center recruits all around the ring. They went ahead and had the black ring canvas. It was a whole lot of fun. The Calavari twins were... I've seen them on TV. I've seen them on Twitter. So obviously the 2 blonde girls that were standing right... They wanted to make sure they were getting all kinds of TV time. So you saw the Calavari twins sitting there on the side over by Gable Steveson. For those that don't know who they are NIL talent that gets brought in from college. They are college basketball players. And they were the 2 cheerleaders in the Chase U segment that held up Tia Hale when she won the Battle Royal. And in this, they were the girl in the black biker jacket and the girl in the blue dress that Damon Kemp uses as a shield. Those are the 2 Calavari twins. This match was great. It was slow to start, which is fine. It was a little bit of a fight. And then everything rolls outside and everything gets going. And I thought there was a couple of times where I thought Gable Steveson would get involved, and he didn't.
Yeah.
And I kept waiting for the Gable Steveson heel turn.
Yeah, me too.
And it never came. And I'm like, huh, that's surprising. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
like. I wanted Eddie Thorpe to win. By the way, Mel, this is the Eddie Thorpe match. Go ahead and make sure that you're watching.
Yeah.
It was a great time. I had a ball. Eddie Thorpe wins with TKO by putting him in a triangle and just beating the shit out of him with his elbows. It was a fantastic fight. What did you think of the NXT Underground?
Well, another thing that I loved about it was seeing like the reactions of all the recruits around the ring. Because first they're doing the thumb, like hitting the mat to Eddie's theme song. But then as the match is happening, you can hear them go, oh, like all the reactions. It reminded me of like when the pandemic, having all the superstars around the ring just reacting to what was happening. And then you can see, like every time something happened, they're like, you can see their facial expressions just like practicing as it was happening. And all the smoke, and you see the dimming of the lights, and you can barely see the crowd. It was mostly focused on the ring and the recruits around the ring as well. But like you said, he was using one of the twins as a shield in that moment. I love that part when he's throwing Eddie over the barricade. He's kind of like celebrating because he's like, oh, he's out. But then as he turns around, Eddie just grabs him for the submission right there. And then I was like, I loved it because I knew by the positioning something was gonna happen there. Um, there was also a part where he just threw him over his head to the outside, and the thump was so loud. I was just like so concerned for Eddie there. Um, but yeah, there was so many like bits and pieces. I really thought Gable was gonna turn on Eddie towards the end because he kept going like behind him very
Closer
often
and
from side to
closer.
side, and I was like, oh no, it's happening, maybe now. And he did, and I was so surprised. So like when he gave him his gold medal, I was thinking when he gives the gold medal, maybe that's his way of distracting him, and he'll do it then. And he still didn't do it. So I was very surprised. And then having all these guys come in, like the other guy that came in, I thought he was gonna tell Gable to like let's raise up Eddie in our shoulders. So I thought that was just gonna happen at first, and then he just keeps pushing him, and then for Gable to have his moment. And just like the only thing I didn't like about it is just like I feel like it took away from Eddie's moment right there for a couple of seconds, but it's Gable. You don't have him on TV often, so I understand why they wanted to like highlight him in that way as well. But it just like at first, I feel like I couldn't take notes. I couldn't keep up with they were doing up until the part with like with Damon taking one of the twins as a shield. Then I feel like it slowed down a little bit more, and I could take notes on it. But it was better than I thought it was gonna be, and I like how they structured in such a way that they were able to do the next match like right away, and like the setup was really well done. There was no gaps in between it to make it awkward or anything like that. So I really enjoyed it.
It felt like it fit the show. It felt like it fit the aesthetic.
Yeah.
The NXT recruits, the PC talent, were really loud and boisterous, which, like you said, made it feel better. Like I couldn't tell if it was the crowd or the recruits, but at least there was noise. There was stuff going on. So you know what? I give it the benefit of the doubt. Give me more. Give me more. I want more of these. This would be great. I mean, think about it. NXT now has the fight pit, and they have NXT Underground. And it didn't feel like it took away from any of the other wrestling matches on the card. It felt completely different from a wrestling match. It literally legitimately felt like a fight, which I thought was really interesting. Because it didn't always feel like that on Raw Underground. So I thought it was really good. In the Hot Seat podcast, I'm going to put it up again because we didn't get a chance to talk about it. So ironic how I thought the Underground would do with the crowd, and that happened. I hope we get this more often and in the video games. Yeah, I think this could make for a fun thing for the video games. But no, I think that there's definitely there are some feuds that I think could really end in Raw with NXT Underground, especially talent by talent basis. It worked for these two guys. Why?
Yep.
Eddie Thorpe grew up in the New Japan dungeon in the dojos. He went ahead and went through that. I know it's not NXT exclusive anymore, but the main roster one is felt and feels completely different from the NXT Fight Pit. The Seth Rollins one didn't feel like the NXT Fight Pit matches that we've seen before. But no, the NXT Underground did really well. After this, we get Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams in a backstage promo where they go ahead and invite all of Judgment Day to NXT. And I love Trick Williams go, yeah, bring Dirty Dom too.
No, yeah.
Which just made me think, forget about Finn Balor versus Damian Priest. Forget about Finn Balor and Carmelo Hayes. Forget about the triple threat between Damian, Finn, and Mello. No. I want to see Dom versus Trick, and I want to see it now. Oh, that was... But it was good. It was short. It was sweet. It was to the point. They want Judgment Day to come on down, which means I think I'm right that the main event of Battleground. NXT Great American Bash is going to be Carmelo Hayes versus Finn Balor.
Yeah, probably.
We then get JC Jane, or JC the Jobber Jane, versus Lyra Valkyria. I'm sorry, this girl's been losing left, right, and center. There's not a big match this girl hasn't lost in the past 6 months. But go ahead and talk about your girl JC Jane and how she lost to the Bird Lady.
Even the Burley, I feel like this match was okay. I think it was better than I thought it was gonna be at least, but it still wasn't the greatest thing. I did like those moments of like you get JC having at Lyra in the submission. Lyra's trying to bridge it off, and she just hits her to like break off that bridge there. Um, and that moment that I really enjoyed was when Lyra's about to do a dive, and JC just catches her and just like basically just kind of throws her on the apron there too. I feel like it was, even though it was mostly Lyra, but I feel like there at some points it was a good back and forth. Even though there was some moments that Lyra did take over, um, I just didn't expect anything out of the ordinary to happen out of this because I know like Lyra hasn't been. I don't want to say she hasn't had great performances, with us so far. Like we haven't been in, it's been okay for us. And then she just hits her with her finisher at the end and just to win. And just I thought it was, I don't want to say funny, but it's just the word I can think of. She gets the finisher, gets that knee. Couple of seconds later, JC's up and just attacking Lyra like nothing happened. I was like, did he just get kneed in the face a couple of seconds ago?
Yep.
You could have waited a little bit longer before that happened. She just moves and walks off like nothing. I'm like, did we just forget how this ended? I don't know. It didn't make sense to me. The timing of it was terrible.
She almost pulled the Austin Aries where she just gets hit with the finisher and just gets up and starts moving on. Oh, it was so great. And by great, I mean it was terrible in the worst way. No, it was, the match was fine. There was nothing great about it. There was nothing terrible about it. Lyra has switched her finish from the big splash or the itty bitty splash that she does. I called it a big splash. It's a little splash. She barely does any splash when she gets it. But she switched to the knee, which is a whole lot better of a finish for her. She's still not hitting it quite right. It looks a little awkward when she hits it, but it's at least a little bit better than what she was doing. I'm going to take this moment to since I'm just double checking. Yeah, I'm going to take this moment because there's only one more women's segment on the rest of the show, and honestly, I think it's just might as well talk. We'll talk about it. Well, we'll talk about that part, and then we'll do my little rant. After this, a little bit after, we have a couple other scenes. We get Kiana James going to her office, and she's talking on her phone, and she's talking about how she gave Gigi Gillen a new coat of paint, which is code for giving them a new character. It's in the backstage, especially with Bruce Pritchard. He talked about whenever a character would get a change, they give him a new coat of paint. Which I thought was interesting with the way that they did that, because Gigi Dolan just had a new coat of paint. So I wonder if they're going to give her another coat of paint. It doesn't matter. There's a wet paint sign on her door. By the way, I love how you have a door that locks with a push button, like numbered lock, that you can just open up because it's never locked. I love that fact. They should have had her at least pretend to press buttons so that it would have to be. No wonder why Gigi Dolan was able to get into the office so easily. The office is completely trashed. The office is trash. But other than the word phony spray painted on one wall, everything else, this spray paint is only on the clear plastic things. I'm like, where's the wet paint?
It's because they rented the office, don't want to ruin it, so they put the plastic on top of it, and they spray paint on top of it, and then the wet paint just pretending that there's paint anywhere else. I'm just like,
oh, it was so bad. It was so cringy. It's perfect.
I wonder if it was a classroom or full sale that just happened to a professor's room and just yeah, we're gonna go in here real quick, do this, and then we're out. Because it was very protected.
They're not even at full sale
anymore.
No,
but they're close enough though. That's what I mean. It's plus this was pre-recorded last week, but it's it didn't look great. Not like visually, like having like, if you think of wet paint, I just think of like paint splatters all over the wall, different colors. The NXT rainbow that we had before
Mm-hmm.
on the wall at least. But if you put the plastic on, I was like, it just makes it look like Kiana just moved there to that office.
She's
That's it.
renovating. Yeah.
Yeah.
The reason why I skipped a couple segments to get to this segment is because. All right, so we've had somebody who's decided to start spilling tea when it comes to the women's division in WWE. I was going to leave it alone. I wasn't going to bother talking about it because other than Noam Dar, she doesn't have any place in NXT. She's not worthy to talk about with these actually talented female wrestlers. However, she decided to bring NXT into it with a question that she was asked the other day. So I'm going to go ahead and bring her into this now. Alicia Fox. Oh, Alicia. She was asked the question about what she thought when WWE did the women's evolution and brought in the talents like Paige and brought in the talents like Becky and Sasha and Charlotte. And she proceeded to say that, oh my God, I cannot believe she said this with a straight face and actually meant it. They wanted to come up here and be technical wrestlers. And the rest of us who were here looked at them and said, but can you put butts in seats? Alicia Fox, I have a question for you. When the fuck did you ever put any butts in any seat in any goddamn arena other than your sisters who got kicked off of Tough Enough because she said that her favorite fucking wrestling match was between you and Melina? To which made Stone Cold go, what? He was dumbfounded because he heard your name in somebody's list of greatest wrestling matches ever. Alicia, you're a champion, a former champion in WWE. Yes, in one of the weakest times in WWE, where the only talented people took time off so you got title reigns. The only time people ever talk positively about you are two scenarios. When they talk about Noam Dar, and when they talk about the fact that you have a really good fisherman's suplex. Those are the only times anybody ever compliments any of your work. So when you start talking about people like Sasha Banks and Charlotte, and they come up and they want to be technical wrestlers, you should have learned from them so that they could continue putting butts in seats. Because you want to know what? Charlotte's main evented WrestleMania. Charlotte has gone ahead and main evented Raws. Sasha Banks has gone ahead and changed the game in foreign countries for women's wrestling under the name Mercedes Money. These women have changed the game, and that's just two of them. Two of them. That doesn't count Bayley. That doesn't count Shayna Baszler. That doesn't count the other talented, immensely long list of NXT women's champions that have come to the main roster and done more good things than you've done in your entire career, and they're all still wrestling. Alicia, you're worse than Emma. And Emma is the worst, best NXT talent to ever come up from the main roster. And you're behind her. So when you start talking about putting butts in seats, and when you start talking about people being serious and taking women's wrestling seriously, remember, all you are is a wrestling move and a joke. Okay.
Wow, didn't expect that.
We also get Stax and Joe Coffey going ahead and visiting Tony D'Angelo in prison. Was fun. We find out there's going to be a match next week between Stax and Joe Coffey, where I think Stacks is going to go ahead and lay down for Joe Coffey. Oh, we got a comment. Hold on. Let's see. Yep. I mean,
That's very accurate, Daphne. Thank you.
it's not my best rant, but it was my most passionate one. I felt that one. What did you think of Joe Coffey, Stacks, and Tony D'Angelo in this segment here?
I thought it was funny at first. I like how he just keeps going. It's like, it's a great deal for us. He's like, what do you mean? And like they laid down what the stipulations are. They said if Stacks wins, then the charges are dropped and they get a tag team title shot. Versus if Joe wins, then Tony's locked up until conviction, which is conviction's a guarantee. And he's like, I heard it's a guarantee there. And I like how Stacks is like, but I'm making decisions for the business by myself. I'm the underboss. He's like, the pockets, the envelopes have been full. I've been getting so much money because I'm making all the decisions without you. And look at the money that we got. It's like, you don't trust me. And it's just like I just want to go no. As he was saying that, I responded even though it wasn't even me in there, but I just thought this was funny. And then he's like, yeah, how long did you have him on in the car? Like that back and forth they had of like he didn't respond how long he was really in the car. That I thought that was super funny though, and it just gives me like guessing of like what's really gonna happen between them next week.
I wholly expect Stacks to lay down and just let Coffey pin him. I really do. My buddy Rob comes in and says, I like a good Ed rant. Not directed at me. I've ranted against him before. It's not fun. Anyways, after this, we go ahead and we get the Noam Dar promo, which was another fantastic promo. Now, the reason why we had so many promos here, I think, is because they're buying time. They know that they only have so much footage recorded, so they're buying some time to fill in some gaps. We get Noam Dar, and he's cutting this promo, and you don't see anything. You just hear him talking, and you just look at him. And I sent a message to Astrid, and I'm like, he's talking to the cup. No, it's even better. He's not talking to the cup. He's talking to a picture of the cup.
I was thinking, how is Nathan gonna leave the cup just laying around anywhere for Noam Dar to just go back to admire it? That part I was like wondering, and then when I see the pictures, I see you.
It's great. He talks about how he can't sleep, how he misses her, Noam Dar is so good right now. Again, there's only 2 times that Alicia Fox is ever relevant. When we talk about Noam Dar and when we talk about the suplex. But no, Noam Dar kills it here. Metaphor comes in and they start talking about how they need to fix Noam. And they need to fix the situation. He's like, look at the man! Look at him! Look how broken he is! Oh, it's just so good.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I tried to do Oro's accent, but you really can't. I don't know what kind of accent it is. It feels like an island accent, but I know he's from England, but I don't...
Yeah.
I feel like it's like an island, like a Dominican or you know what I'm talking about. Like, he's not Dominican, but you get the vibe.
Yeah.
When he talks, you get that island boy accent. It doesn't sound like he's from England. But it's great. I absolutely love this promo. Noam Dar is can't miss. Great move, great money. And we also know that we're getting a Supernova Sessions next week. He's not sure how he can do the Supernova Sessions without the cup, but we're going to find out. As soon as the Kiana James office segment comes to an end, we cut directly to the ring, where apparently Javier Bernal, off camera, was going ahead and making fun of Von Wagner. Bad Javi! Bad big body Javi! We've been cheering for you! We've been rooting for you! How could you do this? You evil, evil heel! How could you do this, Javi? To our boy Vaughn. And Vaughn comes out and he's out there and he's just kicking his ass. And he goes ahead and gets ready to powerbomb him through the table. And Robert Stone's like, no, Vaughn, we're better than this. Beat him in the ring. Beat him up in the ring. And I'm like, but Robert, it's not a match. It doesn't matter where he beats him up. You can beat him up anywhere.
Right.
And then so Vaughn gets ready to chuck him over into the crowd. And Robert's like, no. And this time he's jumping up and down and waving his arms. Because Vaughn is so much bigger than him. And Vaughn puts him down again. And this time Vaughn's really unhappy. So he goes ahead and says, screw it. And he clears off the table. But this time he's nice. And he doesn't knock Vic Joseph's candy bowl off the table. He just moves it right to the edge. And then Big Body Javi gets a big power bomb straight through the table. But most importantly, afterwards, Vaughn was standing there. The crowd was cheering.
He got a good reaction.
They were happy to see him. Which, by the way, if you haven't seen some of the tweets going around online, there's a fantastic one by, I believe it's Alistair McGeorge, who tweeted out where it's a gif of the video of the up, down, down guys reacting to the finale of Game of Thrones. And they have that to the Von Wagner segment. Oh, it was really good. It's nice to see Vaughn getting put up there and talked about in such a good way. He's from Switzerland. Okay. Still not quite the island thing. Mixed with Ghana. Okay. There's the island mixed with Ghana. Our local establishment is rating us with a party of 4. Thank you, our local establishment, for going ahead and rating. That is greatly appreciated. It is always nice to see. Yeah. After this, we get another promo between Bronco Lima and Lucien Prince. Lucien Price or Lucien Prince? I can't remember.
I know. I always forget their names. You're the one who remembers them for some reason.
I like these guys. These guys are great. They're cutting a promo in a car. It doesn't look like a lowrider. It just looks like a cool late 80s, early 90s, like Camaro type car. They're talking about how they grew up on the streets and how they've been fighting their whole lives. And how, you know what, this isn't going to be any different. They're going to come to NXT and they're going to have to fight to get their way here. But the other teams better recognize that they're coming and they're ready. So it's always nice to go ahead and see something like that happening with these guys. It's always fun. And they make their debut next week, which is ultra fun. Because I've been dying to see these two in the ring. Because again, I don't watch Level Up. I don't have time to watch Level Up. So I have no idea how good or bad they are in the ring. Plus, Level Up is like a different world. It doesn't really matter. Like, Tia Hale wins wrestling matches on Level Up. It doesn't really count. You know? What? Why are you looking at me like that? She's awful. After this, we get the Dyad versus the Creeds in a loser leaves NXT match. This was pretty good. I was teasing Astrid about this during the match because they're doing the entrances and I'm like, Astrid, it's 10:35. I don't think there's anything else left in the show. Are they really going to give these guys 40 minutes to go ahead and wrestle? I'm like, we had an NXT championship match last week that got 10 to 15. What the hell's going on here? Thankfully, there was other stuff to do the rest of the show. Well, sort of thankfully, there was other stuff on the show. It was a good match. The back and forth. It looks like it's going to end really early, but Joe Gacy goes ahead and pulls... we're just going to start calling him Zach Gibson. He pulls Zach Gibson out of the ring. I think that's Jagger Reed, to be honest with you. He pulls him out of the ring, which gets Joe Gacy kicked out of the match. And then the match continues. Astrid, do you want to talk about the Creeds here? Because I know you're going to be a sad girl to not see Julius Creed on your television screen every week.
I don't know what to say. Well, I got interrupted with my sister, so I didn't watch half of this match. But either way, there was one part that Brutus did like a little splash. I think it was onto, I don't know if it was Jagger. No, I think it was Rip. But I love the way he did it. Like you could, like he was really nicely done, like enough that they did a replay of it. But yeah, I just, especially with the ending is the part that I was just like, I wonder how this is going to play, if it's going to be Gacy or somebody else. But we have Julius is kind of like more towards the top rope and somebody hits him with a headbutt with a mask on and they just keep running away. It helps the Dyad do their finisher and win. And then later on, when we get the like moments ago, the Creeds are saying their goodbyes and Ivy's like upset that they're leaving. We still see we have the angle from like the Creeds been in the ring with Ivy to them showing the person at the top. Usually when the fans are standing by, just standing there watching, and even you can see Schism kind of like going like, oh, the person's still out there, look. But then Gacy is nowhere to be found, versus Ava is with Rip and Jagger right beside them, celebrating as they're coming out.
Yeah, Gacy had gotten kicked out of the match early on.
So. Yeah, so I wonder if it was Gacy himself doing it just to help out the team, or if it was somebody else. That's the only thing I'm
another Red Hoodie situation, because it's the same. It's the same similar red hoodie thing going on. It's the same mask that Ava normally uses. It was fun. I enjoyed this. It was a whole bunch of fun. And there's a bunch of cool spots going back and forth. I'll be honest, I read this. I got this match spoiled for me, so it wasn't as exciting as it could have been. I didn't know anything else that happened on the show except for that. So this match was kind of a lowdown for me because of the fact that I'd already had it spoiled. But I'm excited to see the Creeds going up to Raw or SmackDown. I'm excited to see where they land. And I'm more excited that the NXT continues to confuse us with what they're going to do with Zap Gibson and James Drake. Because they've asked for their release. They've said that they're leaving in October. We've not heard any word of them signing new contracts, but they're continuing to being pushed. They're continuing to be on television, and they're not leaving NXT anytime soon now. So what comes next?
It feels like the first time something like that happens from our point of view, that we get that situation, somebody saying like, ask for my release, and usually you're going to expect them to either be off TV until the contract expires or start losing, and then something happens and they're off TV for a little bit of time. So like to get them for them getting, I think, 1 or 2 title shots in a row, to like now thinking, oh, they're going to lose this match automatically because of the contract situation, and then they end up winning it. Just like, this is definitely going not how I expected it to go in any way whatsoever with the Dyad since they asked for their releases. So that's pretty interesting.
Before we move on too far, we just have my buddy Von Pelt saying it's not reality if Tia wins, which is true. And we have our first time chatter, Becky Lynch fan 88, coming in and saying thoughts on that Cora Jade promo. It was piss poor, like almost all other Cora Jade promos. She's not bad at cutting a promo. She's bad at being the mean girl, because they have girls in NXT who do it better, and she's not built for it. I think she would be so much better as a babyface. And they already have Kiana James, who's a better mean girl heel. They have JC Jane, who's a better mean girl heel. They have Tiffany Stratton, who's at the top of the tier of the mean girl heels in this group. Cora Jade just doesn't cut it as a promo with that group. And Kiana's iffy on 90% of her promos. Like tonight wasn't a great promo for Kiana, but she's been doing better and better as of late, getting more comfortable with her character and what's going on. Whereas Cora Jade still feels out of place. None of the promos quite feel right, but I still like seeing Cora Jade wrestle because she's getting much better at the wrestling side. I keep hearing people say Cora Jade's getting called up. Really, I hope not. She's not ready for that.
No.
Maybe if she were to work a lot of main event, if she gets called up and strictly works main event and starts working with some of these more talented women like Tamina, like Emma, some of these women who have years and years in the business, who can really go ahead and work with her on main event, then maybe she'd excel quicker than what she's going to. But as of right now, there's not much. Before we get to Bron Breakker trying to put us to sleep, we want to go ahead and talk about all the other wonderful things that you can catch this week on our local establishment. So let's go ahead and play that video. We'll be back in just over a minute. those are all the wonderful things that you can catch. And before we talk, again, right before we talk about Bron Breakker trying to put us to sleep, make sure that you don't go to sleep early when you get your Rogue Energy. You can go ahead and scan that QR code right underneath Astrid Pizarro. And you can go ahead and get 10% off your order when you go to rogueenergy.com or scan the QR code and use OLE Pods. OLE Pods get you 10% off your order. It's a sugar-free, more natural version of an energy drink. They also have hydration drinks. They also have things in cans for those of us in the United States who want to go ahead and have our canned energy. Astrid, you don't have to go ahead and keep having your canned Red Bulls anymore. You can go ahead and get Rogue Energy. Also, Rogue Energy also goes ahead and has all kinds of other things. Go ahead and get a trial kit. They go ahead and they send you a couple different flavors. They go ahead and send you a shaker cup. It's really inexpensive. But again, you can pop in your OLE Pods to get 10% off that order. And you can go ahead and try a few flavors to figure out which ones you like best. I prefer the watermelon. Watermelon's fantastic. I know Mel likes the blood orange. I know Chris Best has got the watermelon because of my recommendation sitting in his cart ready to go. So he can go ahead and get that the next time he gets his restock. Parrish loves all kinds of flavors. He's always on top of what flavors are in stock, what flavors are out of stock. So again, rogueenergy.com. Use OLE Pods to get 10% off your order. You will thank us. Hopefully. We're going to go ahead and we have another comment from Becky Lynch fan. Yeah, she's decent in the ring, but when cutting promo, craps her pants a lot. I mean, half of it's the material she's given. Half of it is that it's hard to cut good promos when you have a bad character that you can't relate to. I have a feeling if they paired her up with her real life boyfriend, they would both be better off. But for some reason they're not, and it really irks me because I feel like it could be better for both of them. So yes, we're moving on to before this we have a brief moment where we have Finn Balor apparently backstage at Raw answering the challenge that only got delivered tonight on NXT. No, don't think about it. Don't think about it. Finn Balor goes ahead and accepts it, and he says, you know what? The Judgment Day is going to come down, but you're going to get that Finn rub. To which I'm sure Mel was like, can I get the Finn rub instead? I'm telling you, she wants the Finn rub. I mean, would you deny the Finn rub?
No comment.
He does say no happy endings, though, with his Finn rub, so maybe you wouldn't want it. But he's going to be there next week. Mel, yes, please. See, Mel?
The timing of that.
Now, see, I said it knowing I wasn't sure if you were still here or not. But I'm like, I'm almost 99% sure she won't mind if I go ahead and say she wants the Finn rub. Because you are the one who constantly comments that every time you see Finn, you want to see him back in trunks as opposed to the pants. So I assumed it was evil ground. Mm-hmm. We then get Bron Breakker putting everybody to sleep, talking about how he took on Seth Rollins. He neglected to mention that he lost that match. I don't think he ever once mentioned that he lost that match to Seth Rollins. But he goes on, and honestly, I couldn't be bothered to listen to him. It was a bunch of nothing. I know he says that he basically says that he's done everything he can do in NXT.
We were just
he says, who's next? And I was waiting for Goldberg to come out. He goes, who's next for Braun? And I'm like, oh God, here comes Goldberg. But no, the person saving the day is Ilya Dragunov, who comes out, to which Astrid asks where we can Venmo Ilya Dragunov, to which I gave her my own Venmo because I could always use the money. But no, we go ahead and we get Ilya Dragunov coming in the ring and saying that he's next for Bron Breakker. I'm assuming that means Great American Bash. They didn't spell it out, but I'm guessing we're finally going to get that one. He says he implied that he lost multiple times, just never actually said that he lost. Because he did mention, he's like, I was in the biggest match in NXT in 2 years. And I'm like, you didn't mention you lost that match, though, did you? No. Ilya comes out and headbutts him. They get into a fight. All kinds of people who were there earlier from the PC recruits come out and get tossed around and beat up and run through. And That's how the show goes off the air. I really wish we just would have ended with the Dyad versus the Creeds. I really think that would have been a better ending.
Yep.
But it was a great episode of NXT. It did everything it needed to do. And honestly, for a pre-recorded episode, the results weren't everywhere. Like, I'm on social media every day, and I only got one match spoiled. And I nowhere did I see, here are the results, of NXT, which you normally used to see a lot.
Mm-hmm. I think, but I hope that Twitter was down over the weekend too, so that didn't help either.
Well, that is true. I only do Twitter, and Twitter had a bad weekend. But we're not going to talk about Elon Musk. You know what we are going to talk about? Fun things, like where we can find Astrid Pizarro this week.
I'm trying to think. I'm like, what day is it? I'm so tired. I don't know at this point.
Tuesday, Astrid. Still Tuesday.
You can find me. I think Mel can confirm. Friday at 6 p.m. we're doing Ladies Special Showcase. We couldn't do it before because I was out of town. She's gonna be talking about Julia doing NJPW against Willow, so that will be interesting. One of the topics that we have, so that for sure. On Sunday, you can find my NXT Review Women's Wrestling Talk, and then again on Tuesday, back again with you doing Taking Over. Other than that, you can find me on my Twitter as it's there on my Instagram, and at Blue Sky, just in case you do have that alternative, because it is the same thing. It's Astrid Pizarro too.
Yeah. You can find me right here on Twitch at EdFries2002, where I stream gaming stuff. I will be streaming gaming stuff again, probably this Friday night as we play a little bit more Marvel Snap with the new season rollover, but we'll also be playing some more WWE 2K23. I started a My GM thing the other day because unfortunately my controller wasn't working. It is now working again until I attempt to stream again, where it probably won't work. But if I do stream it again and the controller is working, we'll probably play some more My Faction stuff. We've got Marvel Talk coming up this Thursday, as both Parrish and Andre are both out on Wednesday. They are both headed to the YEG to go ahead and see that little flimsy indie group known as AEW. I don't know if you've heard of them, but there's AEW groups coming to Canada, and they're going ahead and doing a show in Edmonton. So the boys are going to that little indie show in the bingo hall. No, I'm just kidding. They're going to have a great time seeing all the AEW stars. It'll be a good time. Marvel Talk will be Thursday at some point. It'll probably be a live show, but it might be recorded. Either way, you can find us on YouTube or Twitch. Depending on one or the other, we'll go ahead and update you on the interwebs when we know more. Saturday afternoon, 12 o'clock noon Eastern Standard Time, Season 1 finale of Wrestle Draft. We are watching all of the matches between both Parrish and myself as we go ahead and book WrestleMania. I am, unfortunately, a little behind because, unfortunately, I was not Triple H's hand-picked champion like some of us other people were. So I was not given all the bonuses and delights that some of the other people were. I had a couple key injuries at a couple bad times. But it'll be fine. We'll pick up the win. We'll hopefully pick up the win, and if not, we'll keep things close so that when Season 2 starts, we'll be able to rip, roar, and roll. Let's go ahead and check the comments before we get out of here. We've got Melball saying that you guys definitely are. We've got...
Melball's going to AW too.
Mayadalla's going to AW too.
All like Canadian friends that go to AW.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been a whole bunch of fun tonight. We have had a good time, but we are going to raid our friend Heel Kevin. So we're going to go ahead and raid him just now. So go ahead and enjoy that. And in about 10 seconds, we should be raiding out to there. For everybody else, we're going to see you next week. No Marvel Snap tonight. That will be Marvel Snap on Friday night. It'll be the next time I'm playing Marvel Snap on stream. Have a great day, and goodbye.
Everyone is watching me when I'm coming around. They all are judging me when I'm lying on the ground.